So this is a review day, and here's all the way from the easiest problem on the test that we would ask to the hardest. Everybody start by factoring that. And when you've done a bunch of hard ones, it's almost like, what do I even do to factor the easy ones? You look for a GCF. Teo, what's the GCF?
2.
So you take the 2 out. And for a kid that doesn't know how to do this middle part, like what goes here and here, it's just divide them both by 2. That's 2x. That's 5. There you go. Do you remember me saying this is the only test you'll have all year where you can know you did it right? When you walk out of the test, you'll know how many you got right. And here's how you can tell. You just multiply it back out. 2 times the 2x, that's the 4x. 2 times the 5, that's the 10. See, I know I did it right because you just multiply it back out. All right, that was like a easy, but yet weird, so maybe it was hard for some of you. Here's a medium level. If you make 2 sets of parentheses, you lose. It doesn't work with 2 sets of parentheses. This is one of those GCF kind. Jack, what is in both of them?
2.
Oh, so close. Not just 2. 2x. You have to take out the greatest common factor. And 2 is a good start, but it had to have the x because they both have an x. See? They both have an x, just like they both have a 2. Then you divide by 2x to see what you should put. And there's a plus between them. And this part. Ooh, that's complicated. Well, just one step at a time. You reduce the 2's down. And then you got x squared over x. And then that just leaves x. And this one, 4 divided by 2 is 2. And the x's cancel, so it's just 2. And if I wanted to be sure I was right, that times that, 2x squared. That times that, 4x. Cool. I know I'm right. All right. Now here's a normal-ish but kind of hard question. Are you ready? 6x squared plus 11x plus 3. Now, 11x got so weird looking, I'm going to rewrite it. 11x. Now, I know you know that there is no GCF because 11 is weird enough that nothing goes into 11. So there's nothing to factor out at the front. Otherwise, I'd be maybe thinking 3 would have come out, but not on the 11. So then, I hope you're thinking x and x, and then realizing, but that won't make 6x squared, will it? And I know that some of you are smart enough to go that it's probably 6x and x. Are you with me so far? Because 6x times x makes the 6x squared. Now, it's only pluses, so I follow the rules. If it's only pluses, it must be plus and plus. And it makes a 3, so it has to be a 3 and a 1. And it could be reversed, but we'll see. Now, I know some of you are like, something's wrong here, and you're right. Something is wrong, but we're going to finish. 3x times x is 3x. I'm checking it and realizing, but that doesn't even close to make 11x. It makes 9x. So what the heck? Well, do you realize if you switch the 3 and the 1, you'll get a very different answer? And is it for sure right? No, you have to check. 1x times x is x. 6 times 3 is 18x. And wait a minute. 1x and 18x makes 19x. Is this one of those kind that doesn't factor? No, I don't think we're even going to give you a one that doesn't factor. So I'm going to check with my colleagues to see if we are telling kids if there's like a guarantee that they'll all factor. I think we're probably going to tell you that. I'm not even positive. I haven't looked at the test yet. But I don't think we're going to give you any that don't factor. So if I told you it factors, you just haven't found it yet, who can think of something else we could do? Because this didn't work yet. What else is possible? I already switched the 3 and the 1 around. It can't be changing the signs because there's only pluses. Ah, Asen's figured it out. I'm going to give it another 30 seconds. There's only one more thing that's possible to change. All right, and this question is something you have to know how to do. This is not a trick question we would never do. This is something you'd have to know. Asen, tell me what you think.
Instead of 6x and 1x,
Yes, I bet you never even thought of how 3x and 2x would also make 6x squared. Now, we haven't even tried that yet, so 2x, 3 times 9x, holy cow, there it is, it made 11x. Yes, that's the last complication that we deal with, is that the first number isn't always 6x and x. It could be like 2x and 3x. There's one like that on your worksheet, too. So remember, this just has to come from this, and there's no law that it says it has to be 6x and x. It's any two things that multiply to 6. Okay. Here's one that I told you yesterday we hadn't covered until yesterday, and yet you guys seem to pick it up pretty quick. This is weird. It looks so different than all the others. But you just need to know the first step. And I know like half of you already know what to do. Ellie, what do you think we should do? First step.
-7 from both sides.
Nice. And what that does is it sets it equal to 0. And that's how all the other ones were. We just weren't talking about it. They were always set equal to 0. And now it is equal to 0. And now we got our 3 numbers, just like normal. Okay, so you should be able to factor it from here. Should be no big deal. But it equals 0, which means there's a follow-up question on this kind. Since it equals 0, they'll want to know the answers. Not just the factors, the answers. So by now you've probably figured out x and x. This number's negative, so it has to be a minus and a plus. And then making a 7, it must be a 7 and a 1, and I'll even put them in the right spots. You might have had to switch them after you realized it didn't work the other way, and this is the right way. And so I'm done, right? No, because on this kind of question, they'll say, and what are the solutions? Now, the bad way to do this is to go, it's just the opposite of this and the opposite of this. So it's x equals 1 and x equals -7. That is the bad way to do this. It's right, but it's the bad way because let me imagine that you just had this finish on a test. You factored it and it looked like this. Now how are you going to do your opposite of this and opposite of that? The answers are not 4 and -5. Kids think that all the time. They think this one's 4 and this one's -5. Nope. You got to not think of it as the opposite of the thing in there. You got to think of what makes this equal 0. See, on the other one, what makes this equal 0 is this. What makes this equal 0 is this. What makes this equal 0? I don't know. So I write 3x minus 4 equals 0. And do the same thing on the other side. Please solve this one. This would be like one of the R4, not R3, sorry, the harder kind of questions, the R3 questions that are worth 5% add-on to your 70% or 75% you had going. Most of you guys are going to get a C on this like walk in the park. But I want to talk to you about those of you that want A's and B's. Do you get, if you had a 90, you were only one question away from 95. Like, that's a big difference. 5% higher on a test is a big deal. If you had a 85, you were only 2 questions away from a 95. Like, if you just don't understand 2 things, you separate yourself from an A and a B. Like, 2 questions is all that makes just 2 dumb mistakes. 2 times when you didn't check yourself. Or 2 questions you never really learned how to do. It's only 2 questions away, and almost everybody in here has a B. There's a few of you that have pulled off the straight A. That's awesome. But almost everybody in here has a B. And there's a couple C's. There's a D, I think. But almost everybody's got a B. That means you're only 2 questions away from a straight A. This is one of the easy games. You can get an A on this test. Absolutely. Just 2 questions different. All right, and here's one of them where people are going to not know how to do this, but I think I've pounded on this enough that you'll know 3x equals 4, divide by 3, divide by 3, 4/3. And 2x plus 5 equals 0. 2x equals negative 5. X equals negative 5 over 2. And on this one, I would have had to mark it wrong because of one little thing. Oh, wait, you know what? I could actually argue that it's there. See the x equals? It has to have x equals. What? You never said yet? Yes, I've told you a million times. Giving a single number answer like 4/3, just writing that on your paper is wrong. At this level of math, it's like gotta be 4/3 comma 0, or 0 comma 4/3, or x equals 4/3, or y equals 4/3. Don't ever just put a single number answer. Or if you are putting it, make sure you're like, oh, yeah, this is an exception to that rule. Like, there must be some reason. This one should have been x equals 4/3 and x equals negative 5/2. Okay, so that's one of those questions that'll separate the A's from the B's. Here's another one. Y equals negative x squared plus 3x plus 4. Do you know how to do this weird one? I totally get the kid who tries to set up the 2 parentheses and uses negative x and x. Nope, you're going to lose. That does not work. Don't try it that way. That won't work. You got to think of this as a GCF problem. Something can factor out. Negative 1 can factor out. If you never caught that, this is your GCF. You got to get that negative factored out. So they all get divided by the negative 1. Finish this one off, please. It has 2 more steps. Once you get that factored, you got to factor it again. All right, would you please compare with the kid sitting next to you? Haven't done that in a while. It's okay if you don't know. Okay, so here's how you do it. You divide them all by negative 1. What's a negative divided by a negative? They just cancel. And then dividing by a 1 doesn't really do anything, so it's just x squared. All you're really doing is making them all opposites. Minus 3x instead of plus 3x. Minus 4 instead of plus 4. And then it factors again. If you didn't notice that, shame on you. You got to look here and see if it can be factored, and it can. X and x. There's a minus in the problem. This number's negative, so it must be a plus and a minus. And then what does 4 split up into? Well, it's probably not 2 and 2. Otherwise, we wouldn't get 3. So it's probably a 4 and a 1. And I'm double checking myself, negative 4x, positive 1x. And that made negative 3x. So yay, I got it. How many of you had it? Raise your hand if you did. Okay, awesome. So that's factoring out a negative 1. Now there's one more kind that's like even harder than anything we've done so far. Okay? So, write this one down. 4x squared plus 6x plus 2. Nice. They not seem that hard. Might be harder than you think. There's two kinds of kids. The kids who realized that there was a 2 in everything, and the kids who didn't notice that. If you notice that, you're probably going to win. The 2 comes out, and then it's not that bad. Kilner, am I done? Hint, have you looked to see if this would factor yet?
Divide again into two different parentheses.
Ah, 2 parentheses, yes, okay.
The x start with both.
X and x, but that wouldn't make 2x squared. 2x and x. That would make 2x squared. Now the signs. Teo, signs? Plus and a plus. Only pluses in the problem. Amit. There's only one way to do this. This part. 1 times 2 makes 1. 1 and a 1. 1 times 1 makes 1. Okay. Then, you got to check it. Otherwise, maybe it's not right. Mosman, how do I check it? Yep, that's 1x. And this times this makes. And what do they together make? Did it work? Yes. Now, why is this so complicated? Well, just you had to factor out a GCF first. And then you had one of these kind where it started with a 2x and an x. So, yeah, that was kind of hard. It could have been even a tiny bit harder if there'd have been 1 plus and 1 minus, because that makes life a little more complicated. Okay. Now, back side of the worksheet. This is actually your homework. Everybody flip it over to the back side. I think the first one's number 21. Am I correct on that? Okay. Remington, would you read me number 21, please?
3x squared plus 7x plus 2.
Let's follow all the rules. 2 sets of parentheses. Actually, first I should look and see, is there anything in all of them? No. There's no GCF. Now you make 2 parentheses. Tessa, why won't x and x work? It can't be x and x. Know why? Hint. It has a 3x squared at the beginning, so there you go. 3x and x. Neverman, take it from there. Signs are next.
Plus on both.
Has to be plus on both because there's only pluses in the problem. Okay, and then what?
Plus 1 and plus 2.
1 and a 2. And then I got to see if it actually worked. Because it might not have. Oh, wait, I have supposed to have a plus on both. I have a minus. My bad. 1x, 6x. Ah, it worked. Is that supposed to be 7x? And it is 7x. Cool. Now, On only 4 problems on this whole worksheet do I want you to take the extra step of solving for this and solving for this. And it's not on number 21. I want you to put a star by problems 24, 25, 26, and 27. 24, 25, 26, 27. 4 problems. Just those 4 problems. We will actually take the extra step of solving x equals and x equals. Just on 24, 25, 26, and 27. So let's do number 24 together to make sure you understand what I mean. Keely, would you just read me the problem?
7x squared minus 9x
What was the ending?
plus 2.
Plus 2?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Different person to actually do the problem. We haven't bothered yet. Pierce, how do I start? 7x and x. Abby, music. Signs. I know this is negative. Tell me why. Yes. Now that other rule is if this is negative, it has to be a plus and a minus. So this is not going to be a plus and a minus. It can't be plus and minus. Therefore, it must be minus minus. Because a negative times a negative will make the positive. Do you get out? It has to be a negative and a negative to make a positive 2. And then it's easy, 2 and 1. Now, did I do it right? We'll find out. I check it, negative 2x. I check it, negative 7x. That makes negative 9x. Cool, did it right. Now, you must be like, well, it had to work out. No, if this had been backwards, if I would have put the 2 at the end, it wouldn't have worked. So I had to check it. Now, on 24, I said you had to give me the ending. X equals 1 is one of them. But what is this ending? It's not x equals 2. Solve this little equation of that equals 0. And that'll get you your fraction answer. So on problem 24, 25, 26, and 27 are the only ones where you have to solve for x equals. All right, I think you've had enough practice, and now this is your worksheet, and this is it. Please don't turn it into me today. I know many people will finish today. That's awesome. But save it, give it to me Monday. But right now is a good time to remember that I hadn't asked you yet for the other worksheet. Remember I told you about, like, we're going to turn it in, but we never did? Would you please take out the other worksheets that I gave you yesterday? And I'm going to collect that right now. That's the one that had 2 sides. You only had to do one side of it. And there was a couple of skips. If you're not done with it, I'm totally cool with you handing it at the end of the hour. In fact, that's what I'd like to do. Is give you time. And if you're like, I lost that worksheet. I don't even know what worksheet you're talking about. Walk up here during work time. I'll hand you one. I have extras. They look like this. The first problem was x squared minus 2x minus 8. If you need one, yesterday's worksheet, they're up here. Okay? Now you got a much time to work. Please feel free to come up and ask me for help. I would love to help you.